what the UN reports a pack of lies. The Eritreans know that. Anybody that's been to Eritrea knows that's a pack of lies. So the question is, these guys are puppets. The UN is not independent. They're headquarters in the United States. They're founded by the United States. The strings of these puppets of the UN are being pulled from the Obama White House. And I mentioned in my speech today that there are two particularly dangerous individuals at the very highest levels of the Obama White House. One, most Eritreans know, and that's Susan Rice, formerly the U.S. ambassador to the UN, pushed through the sanctions against Eritrea, which we know are based upon false charges of support for terrorism. WikiLeaks has shown that they didn't put the sanctions on Eritrea because of terrorism charges. They put the sanctions to sabotage our economy. That they knew all along Eritrea was not involved with supporting al-Shabaab. And the other individual is someone that Eritreans don't know about. And if anything, she's more influential than Susan Rice. Her name is Gail Smith. She started her career as an undercover CIA agent posing as a journalist in the Horn of Africa in the 1970s. At one point, she married Dan Collin, which many of us know is a really nasty character, says a lot of lies about Eritrea, in Nakfa, in liberated territory in Eritrea in 1978. She married Dan Collin in Nakfa. So she is very intimately knowledgeable about the ins and outs of Shabia, of EPLF, and she found out very early on she couldn't buy Shabia, so she went to the TPLF, and she's the one particularly responsible for the career of Meles Zenawi. She found Meles, she promoted Meles, she turned him into a blood soul killer with the support of the U.S. And she was one that eulogized Meles Zenawi at his funeral, got up and spoke openly about her over 30-year friendship with Meles, who's probably one of, if not the most brutal killers in African history. So she's Obama's special counsel to Obama and a senior director of the National Security Council. Her office is right next door to Obama's office. And she spent 15 years literally in the trenches in the Horn of Africa. She's very knowledgeable about all the ins and outs of Eritreans, about Ethiopians, and she's telling Obama what to do. So she's the one that's pulling the strings of the UN. And she's now been nominated to head the United States Agency for International Development. His primary job is to provide cover for undercover CIA agents in the Third World in the guise of bringing aid. So she's going to be around for a long time in a very dangerous position. We'll have to keep an eye on her. And even when Obama's gone, we've got Hillary Clinton coming in. Now, Hillary's not particularly smart. She may not become president because she isn't that smart. But if she is elected president, she's well known for loving revenge. She's very vindictive. So if she doesn't get her way in regards to Eritrea, which she won't, she's very dangerous. She could do really crazy things. So, you know, like I said, it's good to know who your enemies are so you don't turn your back on them. And it's good to have America as your enemy because they're very dangerous as your friend because then they can stab you in the back. So having America as our enemy is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. Because that means we're doing something right. And it makes our life hard, but on the other hand, you know, Eritreans are no stranger to hardship. And it's better to be independent and to develop your country independently than to become a slave and kneel down to the United States, which is what the Americans demand. So, well, we all know that you know, I spent a lot of the year in Massawa because I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii originally, so I love the ocean. So we were hoping to start an aquaculture industry in Eritrea. So we want to develop it into, Eritrea's probably got the best conditions in the world for aquaculture. And we could grow many, many thousands of tons of fish every year in aquaculture there. So, you know, there's a real future in Eritrea. I mean, we're going through some tough times still. You know, we've been having droughts 5 years out of the last 10. And we've got this economic sabotage the U.S. is carrying out. On the other hand, someday Wayani's going to go. They're not going to stay there forever. And when they do, our economy is going to really start to grow fast because when we have peace with Ethiopia, we'll trade with them. And they were historically our biggest trading partners. So there'll be jobs for young people to come back to someday. And it's just a matter of time. It's not if Ethiopia is going to change, it's a matter of when. So we're all looking forward to that. We can't say how soon it's going to happen. In the meantime, somehow we just got to stick it out. And, you know, like I was talking about, we've got this climate disasters. We call it climate change outside, but for us, 5 years of drought. Can you imagine in Europe if in the last 10 years, 5 years, all the agriculture in Europe failed? All these governments would be in crisis, and they're rich governments. We're a poor government. We've been invaded by Ethiopia, economic sanctions, and we've had drought 5 of the last 10 years. So, you know, times are hard, and I understand that it's difficult to be patient when you're young, but you know, it's gonna pass. Okay, so you know, it's like the Europeans are at fault themselves for all these people coming here. You know, and so it's one hand, it's like the Europeans are sort of puppets for the Americans. On the other hand, there's reason for why the youth are leaving. I can't, you know, say that everything is fine in Eritrea. Life's hard. There's no question that a lot of Ethiopians, Sudan, even they're coming from West Africa, say we're Eritrea, because they know they get over. A lot of Sudanese, a lot of Ethiopians, even these Tigrayans, a lot of Tigrayans, but you know, they're from all over saying they're Eritreans. So yeah, you know, it's like this. The problem is not that simple. They make it simple, but it's not. You know, we know what's going on, but the problem is we need to educate people outside, non-Eritreans. You know, the white people from Sweden, from Germany, what's really going on in our country. Because if they don't, otherwise all they hear is the lies and propaganda by the Western media. I was talking to a Swedish journalist today. He had no clue. They say, oh, there's no independent media in Eritrea. What am I? I don't work for the government. I've been there for 9 years. I write in some of the biggest websites in America, all over Africa. And I'm independent. If they put in Google search, independent journalist Eritrea, my name comes up. How come they don't even bother to check? Somebody lied and somebody repeated the lie and it became the truth. It's not the truth. You know, I'm on Press TV, I'm on Russia Today, I'm in all these big internet sites. How come they don't go and do homework? Just because these journalists are lazy and unprofessional and biased. And they just believe everything they sales read and it becomes truth, but it's all lies. It's not like what they say outside. The streets of Asmara are safe to walk in. We have almost no crime at all. Even though people are poor, they don't steal, they don't rob. They're proud people. You know, Independence Day, the streets are full of young people dancing and partying. The police don't even carry weapons. You never hear of police ever shooting anybody. In America, they shoot a black man every day. So, you know, what we have to say is just don't believe what you read outside, and better yet, don't take my word for it. Do some research. There's a Canadian lawyer called Lloyd Lipset who came to Eritrea twice, carried out a very thorough investigation. He's an internationally respected human rights lawyer, and everything he says is completely opposite from the UN. Or Afshin Ratansi, he used to be an award-winning journalist on BBC. He's on Russia Today now, RT. Every 3 times a week, he has a program called London Underground. 2012, he brought a film crew and did a groundbreaking documentary on Eritrea. It's exactly opposite of what these guys say. Or Andrei Vlicek, he's an award-winning filmmaker. He wrote a best-selling book with Noam Chomsky. Okay, he came to Eritrea last year, spent a week there, and he's saying exactly opposite of what these people say. You don't have to take my word for it. Take these internationally respected people, or better yet, come to Eritrea yourself. Get a tourist visa and come and see for yourself. When you walk in our smaller streets, you can say, oh, how can this be police dictatorship, police state? Where's the gun on the policeman? The Swiss police were here today, they all have firearms. In Asmara, you don't see any weapons. So exactly different, you know? So don't take my word for it, do some research. Okay.
Thank you.